A warm welcome to everyone joining in today, either virtually or here at the HG Auditorium. We are here today to celebrate the launch of the MSc Environmental Studies course in conservation practice. I'm Namrita Murli, Development and Communications Officer at HG and your host this evening. To mark our 25th year of interdisciplinary research, in the field of environmental conservation and sustainable development, and to further our mission to create the next generation of conservationists, we are launching a novel MSc Environmental Studies Conservation Practice program in partnership with the Transdisciplinary University. Before we proceed with today's program, we would like to present a short musical treat created by Arjun Sundar, based on HG's work on conserving the less charismatic and often overlooked species.
মুখ বাগর ডোরে করি তুলা যাতে হকলবে মোর মহিমা দেখে মুখ হাতির ডোরে গহীন করি তুলা যাতে জগতে সায় রই ঘুরি खो रहे हैं हम यहाँ फिर खामोश क्यों जुबान शाम ढली नहीं तो क्या सो रहा है ये जहां खो रहे हैं हम यहाँ फिर खामोश क्यों जुबां शाम ढली नहीं तो क्या सो रहा है ये जहां मुझे बना दो कोई बाग मैं लगूं तो आलीशां मुझे बना दो कोई नाग मुड़ के देखे फिर जहां रंगीले यहाँ है फूल और पत्तियाँ गर हम ना रहे तो ये रहेंगे फिर कहाँ रंगीले है यहाँ है फूल और पत्तियाँ अगर हम ना रहे तो ये रहेंगे फिर कहाँ सुनो मेरी दास्तां हो रहा मैं लापता यूं न लो तुम बार बार मेरी ऐसी इम्तिहान ओ वन के रक्षक कर मेरी हिफाजत मैं भी हूँ आखिर इस वन की अमानत ओ वन के रक्षक कर मेरी हिफाजत मैं भी हूँ आखिर इस वन की अमानत धुंधली सी ये गूंज है मेरी मन्नत ओ वन के रक्षक कर मेरी हिफाजत धुंधली सी ये गूंज है मेरी मन्नत हिस्सा हूँ उस बरगद का जिस पे तुमको नाज है। धुंधली तेरी है नजर, धुंधली मेरी आवाज है। मुझे बना दो कोई बाग, मैं लगूं तो आलीशां। मुझे बना दो कोई नाग, मुड़ के देखे फिर जहां। मुख बागोर डोरे कोरी टुला, जाते हो कोलवे मुरमो हिमा देखे। मुखाटी डोरे गोहिन कोरी टुला, जाते जगते साय रोई घुरी। जले हैं जंगल, झरने हैं सूखे, पिघले बर्फ, धरती आग फूके। चाहे मैं कितना भी छोटा सा, जाने ना दे मुझे। हमारी आपसी है निर्भरता, पता नहीं क्यों तुझे। जान मुझे, पहचान मुझे, कर मेरी कदर, जैसे करते हो तुम जिस पे पड़ती है तुम्हारी नजर। जानी लुआ, सिनी लुआ, खबर रखा मोर, जेने कोई तुमी करा जो तुम्हार चकु पड़े।
That wonderful composition was based on Dr. Priyadarshan's essay. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would now like to invite Dr. Nitin Pandit on stage. Dr. Pandit is our CEO and his expertise ranges from energy efficiency and sustainable development. Welcome, Dr. Pandit.
Thank you, Namrata. Hello, welcome everyone to the sparse auditorium here, obviously maintaining all COVID distance and so on, but even sparser online for all the people who are joining us online to celebrate the launch of the master's program at ATRI. To say that we've been looking forward to this would be an understatement. We in ATRI, with our mission to generate knowledge and to make it useful for policymakers and society, and then also to raise the next generation of environmental leaders, this is a very important development. ATRI in the last 25 years has gained its reputation by creating an exemplary master's program of interdisciplinary studies related to sustainability and conservation. In addition to that, we've raised a substantial alumni for a PhD program in an institution like ours, who are in different walks of life, continuing the work on sustainability as well as in conservation. We're very proud of our alumni. We actually had some of them speak at our Khushu function last year, which the Academy had launched, and the year before. And we'll see them again as they graduate year on year in this year's Khushu function also. But to add to that, it's really important to see how we can scale the impact by raising more environmental leaders at different levels. And as we start looking at the different levels, whether we look at it at the scholastic level with people with PhDs and exemplary in their research and so on, we also need practitioners who are out there working with government, working with civil society, and working with the private sector. To represent the areas of conservation and sustainability in all those walks of life is critical if we are wanting to see the impact that we want to create through the sciences of conservation and sustainability. Therefore, we felt that it was important to go to the next level, where we would create a generation of leaders through a 2-year master's program. We'll get more of a description of that later on from Milind Banyan. Dr. Milind Banyan would speak with us and describe that in more detail, so I won't steal his thunder. But at the same time, I think it's really important to recognize that we are doing this in partnership with an institution that we've known for a very long time in Transdisciplinary University, and with the fine people that we've associated with over there, and for which collaboration and participation with Dr. Darshan Shankar and Dr. Gupta and others, I'm truly, truly grateful. I'm sure they will have a few words to say about the program as well as about TDU as we go further. Without such partnerships, and this one being an exemplary one, such a program may not be easily possible, and it certainly won't be as attractive. So therefore, I'm really happy to say that I'm here today to have the folk at TDU and at A3, a number of our faculty members and our team members here in presence, as well as online, to help us start the master's program. So with that, I'll carry on. Namrata, if you'd like to take this up. Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Nitin Pandit. I would now like to invite Dr. Darshan Shankar to join us and give us a deeper look at the Conservation Practice Master's course. Dr. Shankar is the Managing Trustee of the Foundation for Revitalization of Local Health Traditions and Vice Chancellor of the Transdisciplinary University.
Good evening, everybody. The Transdisciplinary University is indeed proud to be associated with the execution of this program. As one would see from the way in which this program has been designed, which we will hear about in some more detail subsequently, this has been a very consciously designed program. The content is, of course, interdisciplinary and to some extent transdisciplinary. Every module in this program carries a tag, and the tags are, module deals with domain knowledge, it deals with perspectives, it deals with skill, and as the title of this program suggests, this domain knowledge, the perspectives and skills are intended to be applied towards conservation practice. So I am completely in agreement and on the same page as my friend and colleague Nitin Pandit, that we expect that this program will generate a cadre of conservation practitioners imbued with this interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary knowledge, perspectives, and skills. We have a lot of expectations from this program, and we look forward with enthusiasm to the execution of this program. Our enthusiasm is almost as much as I imagine is the enthusiasm of the students who have enrolled and joined this program. Thank you. Over to you, Amrita.
Thank you, Dr. Shankar, for that insight into the uniqueness of this course. It is now my honor to invite Dr. Balram to join us for the opening ceremony. Professor Balram is one of India's most prominent biochemists. He's a recipient of the Padma Bhushan Award as well as the TWAS Prize. Welcome, Dr. Balram.
Getting masks on and off is a problem, I have to say. I'm very happy to be here. Ever since I joined the board of trustees of A3, the virus has conspired to keep me from coming to A3. So when Nitin called me and told me that there was an academic program being launched today, I said, can I come in person? And he said, of course you can come in person. And then, of course, he felt compelled to ask me to say something. But I must say that the launch of an academic program, especially when it's in collaboration with the transdisciplinary university, which I've known for quite some time, is really a wonderful event. And I think the induction of many young students will provide the academy and also A3 with a real burst of energy. And I really look forward to the program flourishing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Balram. I now request Dr. Siddhartha Krishnan, convener of the Academy, to join us on stage to introduce the program.
Thank you. So I'm in the box, right? It's a big day today. I was like telling Milind, we should be jumping for joy today, but it's been such a pleasure, but it's been a physically and mentally kind of, exhaustive 1-year journey. A lot of work has gone into this. So just quickly, a short history and sociology of this course and a bit of prehistory. So Dr. Balram, Nitin, Dr. Kamal, members of the board, friends from TDU, Darshan, members of the board of studies who joined us, right? And perhaps students, I think about 15, 16 students have joined us today, right? And new PhD students here. So what a journey it has been over the last 1 year, from August 2020 to October 2021. So this program has history, but here's a short prehistory. In I think 2017 or 18, we had a retreat, all faculty retreat when Karthik Shankar was the director. And it was to discuss conservation and sustainability practice masters in a bigger school, in a big university that was opening a big campus in Bangalore. We were solicited by them, right? We drew up a plan, memorandum of understanding. We had extensive deliberations in A3. We had deliberations with our legal counsel and with the auditors. But the big university, which is also known for big takeovers in Bangalore and other places, went a little radio silent, and then the COVID happened, right? But A3 is like the Gauls in, Asterix comics. We don't, no one takes us over and changes what we are and what we do, right? But we continue to have a very good relationship with the other big university. I mean, they give us our PhD degree, right? A little bit of prehistory. Now the history. Now during the pandemic, one day I get an email from Kamal. I was copied on. The email was to Arvind and Ravikant, who are, I think, previous NGS grantees, or you're part of the NGS network, National Geographic Society. So there was a call to support new initiatives during COVID for educational, initiatives. So Kamal said, why don't you all write up something, we've been talking about the masters, write up a concept note asking for about 10 or 15 lakhs from National Geographic Society so that you can work on designing a program. And so I developed this concept note and I sent it through, I think, Arvind. Okay, it didn't, we weren't successful because it turned out that the call was for schools, higher education, and we didn't see the fine print. But anyhow, we had the concept note and I started keying into it. right? And for the longest time between August and November, and we're just working on it, not knowing where it will go. And then we get an email from Darshan Shankar in December. So he says, so to Kamal, to Nitin and me, and says, so here's a course called Conservation Futures. We piloted it about 4 or 5 years ago, but we need someone, a strong partner to take it forward. And then I think Kamal, Nitin and me said, okay, right, at some point of time, we want to start a master's. We need to locate the master's somewhere. We were going to go to some university, transdisciplinary university or Mahe. Then we said, this is great. It's a good start. And then Milan, Dr. Karim, and I had a lot of deliberations throughout December and January working. So, and then we had an all faculty meeting at A3. So we had the list of courses which TDU provided, which was part of the Conservation Futures Masters. That's what they called it. And then we had a PhD program. We had a list of courses and we thought we'll slap that together. Good courses. I mean, fantastic courses, fantastic interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary courses. Then we thought midway, about 45 minutes into the faculty meeting workshop, we said, hey, what are we doing here? Right? Is it fair on us, on the course of any one of the students to just slap together these courses and offer it? What do we want to do? And then we said, okay, let's wipe the slate clean. What does, what is TDU's kind of mission? What is A3's mission, right? And we looked at A3's mission was to create environmental leadership. And our PhD students, right? And our PhD program, it was catering largely to the academic market as a leadership, right? And PhD students are conceptually confident, theoretically thorough, conservation sustainability ambassadors, but we needed to groom a younger environmental leadership, a practical leadership for civil society organizations, for corporates, for the government and academia also, right? And then that's when we started putting together this conservation. It became practice course. Now, why did, so then when we had to cater to these diverse sectors, and we also started thinking about the future of students, right? Who have 25 of them have put their futures in our hands now, right? So with their futures in hand, think about the job market. We said, let's make it conservation practice. Of course, futures is a fantastic word. I'm someone who's philosophically oriented. I'm also a humanities scholar, right? Besides being a social scientist, and I love that personally, right? And that's how some of that focus is still there in the course, but now it became conservation practice. So the futures were removed and it became conservation practice. Now, practice conveys many things: practicing theory, action-oriented practice, practical solutioning, right? Now, here's a key word, and it's got a lot of attention nowadays, right? Especially through the pandemic and after: nature-based solutioning, right? So speaking of solutioning, so here is something which conveys both the criticality and practicality of this particular program, conservation practice, right? So all of us have heard of nature-based solutioning, right? It seeks, natural solutions, for example, rainwater harvesting, restoration, wetland revival, right? Carbon sinks, forests as carbon sinks, etc., for solutions for, social and ecological problems, environmental problems. Now, this course gears our dear students, I hope they're listening, right, towards these sustainable solutions to problems, be it pollution or climate change and species invasion. But the course also trains you to critically evaluate these solutions, right? And ask whose problems are being solved. Yeah. How are we defining the problem? Are we defining it like the state? Are we defining it like an NGO? Are we defining it like an academia? Are we defining it like a corporate, right? And how are we, does the problem framing reveal income locations, gender locations, right? And so who benefits or loses from these solutions? So it's solutioning, it's practical, yes, but it's also critical, right? That's a nice balance I think we have in our first semester, because our colleague, Dr. Banyan will talk about it, right? We were retaining, and the board of A3 board very particular that we don't let go of the systematic academic kind of edge, right? While also imparting a lot of skills, domain skills and knowledge. So with that, so here are some kind of, we'll talk more about that novel aspects of the course, right? One is interdisciplinarity, which is our legacy, transdisciplinarity, which is TDU's legacy, right? Experiential or very hands-on or practical experiencing of different landscapes, livelihoods, lifestyles, etc. Also immersive, right? Or sectoral or project immersions within A3 and TDU and beyond, right? As part of our networks. Now, like I said, the students, you put your future in our hands, but believe me, we are also putting our future in your hands. It's mutual, right? It's going to be a journey. The first time we are trying this, TDU has experience with masters. We have experience with PhD, but the first time A3's kind of doing this thing with a master's program, an interdisciplinary master's program. So I tell students, and if their parents, if they're listening, right? You are in safe hands, we are in good hands, we are to get in this together, right? You need to help us help you, right? And it's going to be one hell of a trip. I'm actually looking forward to mid-November, December, where we will request you to actually come into campus. So, we're working on the logistics, and I'm going to see a very young, energetic, busting at the seams A3, compound. And, so it's going to be fun. And but you're serious about this course. A3 is a cool place to be. The TDU has these values on traditionality. A3 is a very liberal institution. So you'll have a great experience in these two settings, right? And we look forward to it. And like I said, we are in this together. We are, guided by a fantastic, board of TDU, board of A3, board of studies, fantastic set of faculty. There's some great PhD students. So it's going to be, one hell of a trip. Yeah. Milind.
Yeah, good evening. Good to be over here. And I'll just wait for Gautam to put the presentation up, and then I'll get started. Okay, so see if this works. Click. All right, when I first became a dad, one of my cousins sent me this hilarious but very helpful book on what it meant to be a dad and all the different things that I could do to be ready to become a dad, little tricks here and there. And if you get past the table of contents, this was the one that I really liked, right? The first page says, here's what your newborn is not going to look like. Remember, you are going to be the one who's in the room with your wife. Don't give her a fright, right? And that was the premise of this book. And to me, the design of this course is something like this, because we're going to teach you that conservation practice is not in neat boxes over here. Conservation practice in India is not neat. It doesn't fall into clean boxes, right? Abhi Vanak over here and Chetan are looking at mesocarnivores and human-dominated landscapes. They're measuring that over there. Or we can have, this is another PhD student of ours, Diki, who's looking at bioresources and how we need to look at these bioresources in terms of not just the long-term ecological sustainability, but also what it means for human livelihoods, right? And that's the nature of conservation practice in India. It happens in high human densities. It happens in challenging situations. And with that in mind, we set about writing out a vision statement. And this is what Siddharth was talking about earlier, when he said we wiped the slate clean and we said, okay, where are we starting from? And we wrote this vision statement, and I underlined the word applies over there, because to us, when we were designing this is key. And with this vision statement in mind, the Academy office with a couple of interns, the A3 faculty, the communications team, and TDU faculty and the registrar's office, we went to work on designing, developing, and promoting this course, and really making it where it stands right now. And so what we have at the bottom of your screens is what you see is this course now, which has essentially a couple of different elements. There's a foundations course, because we accept students from any disciplinary background, which you'll see at the end of this presentation. We have, from there, we go on to equip the students with a diverse set of perspectives, and from their domain skills that they need across different domains, and the knowledge for that. And finally, we top out with some electives for the students that they can then choose from. What does this mean as a course for those of you all, for the, I think it's 15 plus students who are watching online? This is what your course is going to look like. You're going to start with a couple of foundations courses, including a foundations course that we have in communicating science, right? So the communicating science course, as all of us in science in the last few years have come to learn, is it's not just enough for us to produce the knowledge. We actually have to find a good way to communicate this effectively to different kinds of audiences, diverse types of audiences. From there, we move into the second semester where we talk about the perspectives courses. We talk about, and then you go on to the domain knowledge courses. There's the knowledge that you'll be learning in these different domains, and on from there to the skills, right? So now we're in the third semester, and this third semester is our sectoral immersion semester. So the second semester is the experiential one, where you actually get to go to the field, and the sectoral immersion is where you would actually be embedded in different projects at A3, different projects at TDU, different projects at partners institutions. And we actually have this, let's see if I can get this up. There we go. The field and project immersion, which is a dedicated module where you actually spend time in the field, really getting a feel of what conservation practice means in the field. And finally, topping out with a couple of with some electives, and then the 25 thesis, master's thesis, or an internship at one of the partner organizations. And at the end of those, there is a final report that is submitted. So that's about the course outline itself. And a lot of, many institutes will promote to you the different, the libraries they have and the classrooms. But what we are really proud of at A3 and TDU, if I may say so, is our field facilities. This is what really is, we are really hoping would give you a different edge, right? So this is one facility in BRT, then we have another one outside the Kalakad Mundunthura Tiger Reserve, and even other facilities that TDU has. They have their medicinal plant conservation areas. This is where it becomes a practice course. This is where you actually get to see what happens in the field. And of course, you're going to be taught by very well equipped with deep experienced faculty who have had decades of experience of teaching this, and also from TDU, all the faculty that will be co-teaching this with the A3 faculty. So with that, this is our first batch of students. You can, if you look across, you can see the diversity of backgrounds that the students come from. And if I could make the invitation at this time, and I'll ask Gautam to change this to gallery mode. If you are a master's student, if you could turn on your camera and wave hello to us, then this will be our official COVID appropriate welcome to all of you. So if you're a master's student, we'd love to see you turn on your camera and wave hello to us.
Hello everyone. Good evening everyone.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
Hi everyone, good evening.
Hello everyone.
Good evening everyone.
Hi all.
Hi everyone.
Okay, so thank you everybody. Thanks for coming online. And I had the pleasure of interviewing many of these candidates, and we're really happy to have them in the program over here. Kareem, would you like to say a few words? Or with that, I'll give it back over to Namrata. So looking forward to have you over here, students, like Siddharth was saying, unless we have a resurgence, which God willing we shouldn't, by January, we're hoping to have you over here physically in the classroom. And yeah, let's have some fun, as Siddharth said.
Thank you, Dr. Bunyan, for walking us through the details of the course. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. V.B. Mathur to come on stage. Dr. V.B. Mathur is the chairman of the National Biodiversity Authority and has long been a well-wisher to A3. Over to you, Dr. Mathur.
Thank you so much. And again, a very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would start by addressing Dr. Kamal Bawa, the president of ATRI, who is joining us at a little unearthly hour virtually from US. Dr. Darshan Shankar, a longtime friend and colleague, the vice chancellor of the TDU. Madam Shruti Shibulal, the CEO of the Tamara Leisure Experiences. I have, of course, not met her, but I definitely went through a profile which looks very impressive. So thank you, ma'am, for being with us today. As I said, as it was said, that I have a long association with ATRI, formal, informal, person to person. So welcome. We are both of us are together in this event. Large number of distinguished scientists, faculty members, staff of TDU, ATRI, and of course, my dear researchers and students. So obviously, I am very pleased to be in this galaxy of eminent professionals, I will call them, at the launch of master's program in environmental studies and focusing on conservation practice. I have spent some time in learning myself what this program is and how is it different from a range of other programs that are being offered by different universities within our own country. So that makes me say that at the outset, I would like to compliment the TDU, the ATRI, and the ATRI Academy for having conceived such a unique program at the master's degree level. And this will go a really long way in building capacity of our youth to effectively address the multiple and the daunting challenges that are triggering the biodiversity loss on one side, and they are also diminishing what we call as human well-being. So both things are affected. Our ability to conserve the biological diversity and our ability to promote human well-being is affected by one or more reasons. And therefore, this launch of this program, I would say, is a step in the right direction. Now, what this joint and the state-of-the-art education program, if I can call it, brings together a very wide range of expertise and skill sets, which are available at TDU and ATRI. And it is also in line with the need for taking urgent measures. There are lots of debates going on nationally and globally where we are talking of urgent action. What is this urgent action all about? What is this urgency all about? So in simple words, this urgency is about developing capacity or building capacity to reverse the curve of biodiversity loss. And if we can't reverse it, can we change its trajectory to some extent? So this is where we need science, and this is where we need good science. And this is where we need evidence-based science. By flagging these three different terms, I'm sure I'm making a sense that this course is being pitched at a very, very unique level. And I would also like to say that ecosystems and human communities are interdependent. We recognize these linkages. We are aware that there is a need to increase our awareness, not only amongst the conservation community, but in a large number of related disciplines. We need to have a relook of how people think about conservation, how they relate themselves to conservation, and how do we govern the natural resources and processes in order to find a meaningful solution to our problems. Now, to understand the complexities of human societies and of their independence or interdependence with natural systems, what I want to stress here that social sciences are needed. I have been a biologist myself. It was I have no hesitation in saying at a very late stage in life, I realized that while biological sciences are good and important, we need to upscale our understanding of the social sciences. These two sciences, they need to go together. And that is where, when I was looking at the description and the details that were provided to me and whatever was available on the net, I could see that this course will work towards the integration of the natural sciences, the social sciences, and if I can say, the human sciences as well. Now, while we talk of all this, we know that the present conservation scenario, there is a very important issue of sustainability. The issue of sustainability is gaining significance, and rightly so. But I would say that the understanding of sustainability and the context in which we use this term is very different. We do talk about sustainable management. We do talk about sustainable lifestyles, both at the individual level and at the societal levels. We are also talking of transformative change. But how is this change going to occur? What would be the triggers of this change? And how can this change be sustainable? So these are some of the issues which come to my mind as we prepare the bedrock for launch of this course. I was also looking at how is sustainability defined. I have no intention of taking a lecture, which of course I would love to say, to take it at some later stage. But see the definition of how sustainability or sustainability science is defined. It says that it is an emerging field, which of course is correct. 5 years back, 10 years back, we were not talking about that. So it is an emerging field, but it is talking about interactions between the natural and social systems. And therefore, when we talk of these issues of conservation, we need to look at the present needs. We need to look at future generations. And we need to look at how all these things that we are trying to do is ultimately going to alleviate poverty. Whether we call ourselves the part of the developing world or the global south or whatever we call, but these are very important issues for us. And therefore, we need science to address these issues of elevating poverty and promoting human well-being. Now, I have no doubt in my mind that given the range of expertise which is available within TDU, within A3, within the city of Bangalore, in Karnataka, our students will be able to dig deep into the contours of sustainability. And they should be able to effectively address the challenges which both science and societies are throwing up in the context of conservation, in the context of human well-being. I must also say that my own interest and the fact that I had the opportunity of working in one single institution for 33 years, and I am referring to the Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun, where many of you have been associated with in one capacity or the other. I had a chance to look at how these master's programs are being designed in the generic area of natural resource conservation and how they are similar and how they are different. Because if we are launching a new program, surely this kind of an homework must have been done by the proponents of this course, that what is new that we can offer and what is different that we can offer to people. Because these days, everybody is free to travel to Dehradun or Aligarh or to Mailadurai or to Amity in Noida and look and join a course. So obviously, there has to be something unique and something different. And my curiosity was not settled. And I actually rang up Dr. Gupta, Dr. A.K. Gupta, and said that I need some more information. I need some more understanding of what this course is all about and how this new offering is going to help. And therefore, a few things I could get. As I said, I have not done my complete homework. I must admit that. But what was available for my own understanding, I do realize that this course which is being offered, and I'm now addressing to this small and select group of students who have joined the course. I do understand the intake is 30 and about 23 people have joined. But these, as we sometimes say, the founder, director, founder, faculty, these are also very important. These are our founder students or alumni. And I'm sure they will take pride in joining this course. And I'm not saying that these guys are going to be guinea pigs. These guys are going to be the beneficiaries of this new endeavor, this new learning. And this course is genuinely interdisciplinary. See, there is a lot of difference between what we say, what we practice, what we offer. But my understanding is that today there is a need for offering interdisciplinary courses, and this course will go a long way to do that. It is also going to provide some experiential learning opportunities, because that is also very important. Learning can be defined and redefined in many ways, but there is no substitute for experiential learning. And what I liked about the course of its emphasis of providing entrepreneurial skills. See, my other guest, Madam Shruti, deals with businesses. She knows what enterprise is. She knows what entrepreneurial skills are. I may not know that, but I do understand the value of it. Because this is not an isolated exercise in academics. We want our young students, our graduates to come out with a very broad understanding of the academics, of course, on one side, but also understand how administration, governance, finance, and whatever else goes with businesses go along. So therefore, the good part is the course will be providing and acquiring diverse perspectives. See, this is again a very important area. We must know what these perspectives are. We must be able to look at different lenses. I may be a biologist and I'm trained to look at a lens that a biologist has. But I think the modern times requires that I must also look at the lens of sociology. I must also look at the lens of a business person, and then able to decide that how I'm going to take the best use. And therefore, I find that providing perspectives, which is a vital ingredient for an inclusive learning, is what this course is going to provide. And lastly, I would say that this program is being launched at a very opportune time. And I'm sure Dr. Bawa, in a while from now, will also explain. But let me tell you, since I'm speaking before him, that we have a Prime Minister's Council, very interestingly called as a Science, Technology, Innovation Advisory Council. So this council is now looking at missions. And the government is realizing that mission mode is very important. And these missions can do wonders. So government is looking at, this council is looking at 9 missions. But the important point for all of us here in this group is that there is a mission on biological diversity and human well-being. And that is what we have been working under the leadership of Dr. Bawa, with the Biodiversity Collaborative, with colleagues in ATRI and all other organizations based in Bangalore and elsewhere, the ministry and I at NBA. We are now looking at that how can we develop a mission which caters to the needs of biodiversity and human well-being. But what I want to share with our young students, that this mission is going to provide ample opportunities to the scientists, to the researchers, to the young students. And if I can say so, to pursue their dreams and desires. Both words I'm using, many things start with dreams, many things start with desires, and we need to combine them, we need to have them. And I'm confident the way the mission has been planned, and it will be implemented and executed in the coming years, it will provide a lot of opportunities to our young students in looking at how do we secure conservation, how do we strengthen conservation, not only locally, but nationally, in the region, and globally, of course. And therefore, I have no doubt in my mind that the alumni from this course in 2 years from now will get large number of opportunities in implementing parts of the mission. And lastly, I would say that what I understand of this new course, a new beginning, a new offering, that this master's course will help our 30 young entrants to do at least 4 things. There can be more, but from my perspective, these 4, if will get done, we will say that our job is well done, and all the efforts of Dr. Bawa and Dr. Darshan Shankar and the team that they lead have been useful. The young students who will become or who are part of this course will definitely develop a scientific ability to use methods to observe and monitor both biological and social sciences. This is, to me, a number 1 take which is going to be from this course. I'm sure they would be able to analyze and model data. And today, when we talk of data, we are now talking of big data. We need to understand the dynamics of ecological functioning in a very inclusive manner. And this course will enable our participants to get this ability. They will also learn to employ scientific tools and processes to respond to the pressing conservation and sustainability issues. And finally, the integration is very important. We need to integrate science. We need to come up with evidence-based scenarios in decision-making process, which to me, for more than one reason, is very ad hoc. But we need to change it. We need to make it evidence-based rather than ad hoc-based or perception-based. And this transformation is needed not only by the scientific organizations, they are needed, or it is needed by our managers. And therefore, the very fact this course talks about conservation practice, I must say that I looked a lot about defining practice. I could not find one single definition. I do understand it's a process, and this process will be dealt up in this course. And therefore, this course is going to provide opportunities, a number of opportunities. And lastly, I will say that a lot of effort, while it will be needed from the faculty, from the course organizers, from the university, the students themselves have to be extra vigilant, because they will need to come up and drive the faculty person in the classroom. And that is where the real learning takes place. And I'm very sure, as my colleague was explaining, who was involved in the selection of these 23 or 25 bright kids, or 30 of them, I'm sure we would have picked up the best of minds in the country. And together with the students, with the faculty, with all of us, I'm sure we will go and usher in a new era of a new learning, of a new system of governance, and to tell to the world that Indian science is also at par at whatever levels you want to compare with. So thank you once again for providing me this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Bawa. Thank you, Dr. Darshan Shankar. And thank you, Dr. Gupta, for this opportunity. I hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mathur, for the vote of confidence in the course. I would now like to invite Ms. Shruti Shibulal, who is one of our advisory council member and the CEO and director of Tamara Leisure Experiences, to say a few words. I would also like to thank all the advisory council members, the advisory board, and the board of trustees who have joined in today for the event. Over to you, Ms. Shibulal.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a real pleasure to be invited to speak at such a wonderful occasion. Thank you to Atri, TDU, Dr. Baba, Dr. Darshan Shankar, Dr. Nitin, and of course, Dr. Mathur. I'm very happy to be here in this journey with you as well today. So I've been an advocate for bridging education and human capital building in shaping a comprehensively sustainable world for quite a long time now. A key component of progress in environmental practices is in training and equipping purpose-driven leaders who can then implement both thoughtful and profitable business models across industries. So the launch of this particular program was quite thrilling to hear, actually, and to learn more about it today has been really wonderful and interesting. Tamara Leisure Experiences is a responsible hospitality group where conservation is foundational to our immediate operations as well as our long-term strategies. It's something that we think about in a very holistic manner and something that we try to apply in even our day-to-day decision-making. Over the last 3 years that I've been CEO, we've had several conversations around these strategies around sustainability, and they have increasingly revealed that sustainability has never been an isolated discipline. As the curriculum for this program aptly reflects, the planet-focused approach to human well-being interconnects with culture, biodiversity, economics, behavioral psychology, as well as essential progress in science, technology, education, and governance. And this is a wonderful thing that we are covering so much ground. From my own experience in building a holistically sustainable business that is harmonious with people, planet, and profit, I find that experimentation and innovation is critical. To catalyze this, we have designed an organizational framework that promotes intensive ideational exchange. So that's to say, our internal communication culture is very similar to that of a classroom. I therefore commend Atri and TDU for designing this progressive and prescient program. I also congratulate the students who choose to pursue this course for their cognizance and commitment toward engineering a more compassionate, functional, and healthy world for future generations. The contributions made possible by the institutions, professors, and students engaged in these studies will be invaluable. At present, I am serving as co-lead on one of the work streams within the World Economic Forum's Global Future Council on Sustainable Tourism. The council constitutes of select responsible leaders from around the world who advise on practices that will inform the establishment of sustainable destinations. Our work within the council focuses on laying out best practices in sustainability and showcasing real-world case studies, thus making sustainability approachable for any private or public sector player. So for example, the work that we have done at our property in Kodaikanal, from how we approached our resort concept to our service offerings and our community outreach, all of these feature as a case study in this ongoing exchange that we're having with the council. And finally, our goal is to encourage more businesses and policymakers to understand that sustainability is, of course, vital for resilience of our businesses and of our tourist destinations, but that it is also something that can be embraced by everyone and not just the select few of us who have made it a priority today. We're trying to make it accessible. The minds and voices in this room right now, all of our students who are here, will soon be notable contributors to research, dialogues, and policies such as these. In conversations with leaders across industries, I've also had the pleasure to discuss the unique advantage that India possesses to take the global stage on environmental progress and social responsibility. The diversity of landscapes, cultures, and tourism appeal gives to us as a nation the opportunity to test multiple use cases that employ historic knowledge, as well as inventive means to introduce viable region-specific strategies for climate resilience. The emergence of thoughtful, quantitatively trained leaders, such as each of you, will be very vital to this change. Although there has been a steady rise in environmental awareness among businesses, such as my own, an important catalyst to the adoption of sustainable practices has been the unfolding of the global pandemic, a health crisis that reminded each of us of our physical, psychological, and economic dependence on and our connection to nature. The new normal, both in terms of consumer-driven demand and industry ethos, allocates more value and therefore more resources towards securing and in turn, securing ecological and in turn human well-being. However, there is currently a dearth of human capital that can advise new adopters on how to make that switch to sustainability that we want so badly. While the market has now more than ever lent itself to climate-focused improvements, the urgency and the scale of work required to restore pandemic-related losses to ensure progress is significantly greater. As an industry, hospitality, and more broadly tourism, has traditionally been a heavy polluter. It is, however, also responsible for 10% of all jobs in India's labor market. So we have a pretty big impact. As the sector moves towards meeting global sustainable development goals, there will be an uptick in demand for employees with domain expertise in environmentally sensitive practices, including conservation. Of course, the tourism sector is not alone at all in this new requirement. Manufacturing, supported greatly through Make in India, technology, construction, and real estate, utilities such as water and electricity supply, and of course, transportation and mobility are huge, and they have very similar requirements for talent who can bridge the science of environmental conservation and sustainability with application in their respective areas. And these new jobs will be fueled and informed by supplemental initiatives in the private sector, such as innovative financing for development, impact investing, public-private partnerships, and environmental, social, and governance risk considerations. According to a 2018 report by McKinsey, research in India has shown impact investing can provide considerable growth. And just 50 investors contributed $5.2 billion into projects in agriculture, clean energy, education, microfinance, and healthcare between 2010 and 2018. And that investment is growing annually by 14%. The findings suggest that as more companies and larger investors become acquainted with the true state of play in India and elsewhere, they'll find investment opportunities that align both with their social as well as their business aims. On a global scale, meeting UN delineated SDGs will require an estimated investment of $5 to $7 trillion per year. Together, these investments will significantly benefit those trained in environmental studies, especially in an interdisciplinary manner. So even as the climate crisis hangs heavily on our shoulders, there is enormous opportunity for those equipped with education to make lasting and restorative change. So that makes me very proud to be here today and to see the creation of this program. I'm proud to be among those of you today who will be leading this transformation tomorrow. So thanks once again to everyone for having me. Congratulations to all who are starting off in this new and very exciting journey that I know will have very fulfilling results for both you and for the world at large. I look forward to all the work that I know we will actually be doing together. So thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shubhalal, for highlighting the need for conservation practice in the tourism industry. I would now like to invite Dr. Kamaljit Bawa to share a few words. Dr. Bawa, our founder and president, is joining us all the way from Boston today. Over to you, Dr. Bawa, and good morning.
Very good evening to all of you. And first of all, I want to congratulate the A3 team and the TDU team for putting this thing together. It's really a tremendous achievement, a really very exciting program. And I'm really looking forward to participating in this program in some form or the other as we move into the future. I also want to thank my colleagues, Dr. Vinod Mathur, Darshan Shankar, Nitin Pandit, and Shruti Shubilal for joining us this evening. I'm always confused whether it's morning or evening, of course, evening. And especially the team, Siddharth, and the TDU team, Milind, Dr. Gupta, name was mentioned, A3 faculty, TDU faculty. I think speaking at the end is an advantage that most of the important points have already been made. So one can be brief. I was told that I should speak for 15 minutes, but I'll try to wrap it up in 5 or 7 minutes because we are getting late. And I just wanted to give you a perspective in the sense that I believe that the past provides us a window for the future. And I thought I'll offer my comments in 3 parts. How did we get started on this journey? And how did A3 become one of the destinations in this journey? Where are we now? And what are the pressing issues? And how should we prepare the students for what lies ahead? Fortunately, I think Dr. Mathur has covered the last point very well, so I won't dwell on it. I do want to give you a little glimpse of the history because I have been very fortunate in having a ringside seat in terms of the development of conservation science, conservation biology. I think it was in late 70s, that we started thinking about a new discipline. I was at that time working in Costa Rica, and many of the players who really led the movement to found a new discipline were also working in American tropics at that time. And many of us felt when we looked at the plight of tropical forests that a new discipline was needed, a new discipline to conserve all life on Earth. We knew, of course, there were colleges and schools of agriculture in the universities, forestry, for marine sciences, but we felt that the problem of disappearance of life was not being dealt on a very comprehensive basis. So there were a series of meetings in late 70s and early 80s. And finally, in a meeting in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 1984, the new field was born, that it was decided to establish a Society for Conservation Biology, a new journal called Conservation Biology. And of course, the National Science Foundation started a program in conservation biology. I became one of the founding associate editors of the Conservation Biology Journal. And I also got my first grant, not the first grant from NSF, but first grant from the newly created program in conservation biology. And I remember calling the program director saying that I didn't receive that much money as I had requested. And he told me, Kamal, you got 10% of our total budget, so shut up and get your work going. And of course, off I went to Costa Rica to resume my program. And I wanted to make a point here that I worked in Costa Rica for many years. And at the field station there, which was just a very small, a very large cabin with about 20 or 30 bunk beds. And it was quite tough. But I think what I liked most was that the breakfast was served at 5:45 in the morning. And if you got up 6:15, you're on your own. You can maybe have some bananas, but off we went to the field. And I think Dr. Vinod Mathur emphasized the importance of field experiences. And I want to emphasize again that the type of work we do, it requires a lot of field work. And I think many of the innovations and much of the new things we are going to that are going to come out of our field are going to be based on what you observe in the field, and this is to the new students, what you do in the field, and how your experiences there are going to shape your outputs and your outlook. So we had this new field established by mid-80s. And then I think by mid-90s, there was a growing dissatisfaction in the field. People felt that we were merely diagnosing the problem. We were not actually solving anything. And then there was more and more emphasis on solutions. I think a point very well made by Dr. Mathur and other speakers. And then in early 2000s, there was a call for incorporation of social sciences, that the problems were very complex and we couldn't deal with these problems by taking a purely ecological approach. And I think we in India at that time were very fortunate that we were talking about establishing A-Tree in the late 90s. And we also felt when we were discussing the concept of A-Tree as to what type of institution we want. So I think in that way, we had a head start. We wanted the institution to be very interdisciplinary in nature and very innovative in terms of not looking only at the ecological dimensions of biodiversity decline, but also the human, social, economic, and political dimensions. And I want to make this point because Dr. Mathur rightly said that the biodiversity we have, the experiences we have in terms of interaction between nature and society, we should be the world leaders. And I think from that point of view, I would like to say that A-Tree established its reputation as soon as it got as soon as we got started, because of the innovative approaches we were following. So I'm really very pleased that now with this program, we are continuing this trend to be a leader. I think leader not only in India, but also globally. And so I have very, very high expectations from this program. I think already Milind and Sid has mentioned many of the innovative aspects of this program. And I'm so glad that Dr. Mathur has scrutinized all these details, did some sort of comparison too with other programs. And it is good to know that people who have examined this thing very, very carefully do believe that this program has a lot of promise and a lot of potential. And finally, I think I would like to emphasize once again to the students the points that earlier speakers have made, that we have tremendous challenges and we now have new challenges. And these challenges are in the form of pandemic. I think that is going to affect biodiversity in ways we had not anticipated. The pandemic is going to also increase inequity in the society. And this issue of marginalization of people, the issue of poverty, I think many people are facing a very, very adverse economic situation. And I think these new challenges are going to make our task very, very difficult. And I can't overemphasize the issue of inequity and the issue of social injustice. That is really a key element, or ought to be a key element in our responses to conserve and to work towards a sustainable world. And I think you have to meet those challenges, but at the same time, as Dr. Mathur pointed out, there are opportunities. There are opportunities to integrate data and information in a manner that we had not imagined before. There are opportunities to use technology in a manner that we could not imagine before. So thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to make a few comments. And I wish you all very well. And this last comment is intended for students. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bava, for sharing those wonderful anecdotes. With that, we have reached the end of our program for today, and we request you to mail us at academy@a3.org if you have any questions. We now request all of you to proceed to the terrace for high tea. Yes.
What about virtual guests?
Yeah. So this program wouldn't have started, of course, without the cooperation of A3 and TD faculty, Nitin, Kamal, the board, Dr. Balram, and all the encouragement, right? But without the support of my team at the Academy office, Milind, Madhavi, Neha, right? And the interns, Anandi and Bhavna, right? And then, just when we were taking off, Vamsi joined us as the CEO, right? And him and the fantastic communication team, what a blitzkrieg it was, it's the social media. We just pushed it. And thanks for all of that, right? And then Shiv and Gautam, right? And yeah, so it's been a fantastic team and family collective effort, right? And it's been total solidarity, and everyone was on board on this, and I'm really thankful to everyone.
A quick last comment in response to what Dr. Mathur said about what about all of us virtually. So for first, those who are present here, first, Dr. Balram, we have a little memento and a gift for you. Would you please come and accept this? These are honey bottles from our BR Hills facility here. So Siddhappa, take a bow. Thank you for pulling all this together, and we'd like to present this to you. Thank you. And for those who are virtual, Dr. Mathur in particular, you will be getting a set of these couriered over to you. So please hold. I'm afraid the high tea can't be couriered to you, but the honey bottles will be. So our apologies, but that also means, Dr. Mathur, that you have to come and visit us here at A3. So
I would.
Please come over. And then I'll be happy to present this to you in person. And that will be my pleasure. So thank you so much all for attending. Let's go upstairs for high tea. Thank you.